So the final section then talks about the Supreme Purusha, the nature of it, and how to know the great secret. So remember, Brahman with his various different upadhis, Adideva, which he mentions in verse number 12, sun, moon, etc., Adibhuta and Adhyatma, the earth and the herbs, which he talks about, and Adhyatma, which is Vaishvanara. And this is related to the food prayer we say as well. And also no upadhis. So if they're all the upadhis, which means the covering, upadhi really means the covering. And that covering of the Ishwara or the pure consciousness, in a sense, becomes the sun and the moon, it becomes the earth, it becomes the herbs, it becomes all the plants around us, and so on. And in our individual self, it becomes this ego identity where Bhagwan is existing as this fire within ourselves, this prana apana. And if all those are taken away, all the upadhis are taken away through the strong acts of non-attachment and absorption in the self, then we reach Paramatma. So again, the logic is clear, related to what we have been talking about before as well. So what Bhagwan says, that light which is residing in the sun and which illumines the whole world, and that which is the moon and in the fire, know that light to be mine. In other words, this is nothing but the manifestation of my own self. And permeating the earth, I support all beings by my energy. And having become liquid moon, I nourish all the herbs. And then going on to say, having become the fire, Vaishvanara, this digestive power, as it were, within the body. I abide in the body of all beings and associated with the prana and the apana, which are the five pranas which are located in prakrti, in the body, mind, intellect. And this is nothing but an expression of the Lord himself. So what he's telling us is that there is a part of this eternal within ourselves that expresses itself as this digestive power in a sense, and abides in the body and is associated with all the pranas which are moving around. Then that is the one which digests the fourfold food. So there are four different types of food, which I'm sure you know about, but these are all digested by the digestive fire, which is coming from the Ishwara himself. And what he says, I am seated in the hearts of all. From me are memory, knowledge, as well as their absence. I am verily that which is to be known in all the Vedas. I am indeed the author of Vedanta, and the knower of the Vedas am I. So the original knower of the Vedas, which he talked about in the first verse, the one who knows the Vedas, the leaves, remember, is the Vedavit, the knower of the Vedas. Bhagwan says, actually, that is me. So here's the progression of knowing the divine, and I'm sure that we are familiar with this now. So in chapter number 10, Bhagwan was telling us, first of all, begin to recognize this one seated in all. What Bhagwan has just described to us just now. A portion of me is sitting in you. Not only you and me, but everything in this universe, in this creation. There is this one in all, that one reality in all the diverse objects of our experience. And in chapter number 11, begin to recognize this cosmic person, all in one. Everything is located in, as it were, in this one infinite reality. And having the vision of these diverse objects of experience in this one reality is the next step. And then going further from there, the one reality, which in this chapter, he talks as the Supreme Being. So Supreme Being is where we have to reach, and that is the process by which we're going to do that. And Bhagwan has already hinted to us that this creation, which he's describing as the upside down tree, consists of all these different elements. And he has described the sun and the moon and the earth and the herbs. And he has also talked about the digestive power in the individual as well. So manifestations of the divine and the progression of how to know the divine in various different levels, in various different aspects of our transactional life. Now here the next three verses are actually called the three shloki Gita. Gita in three verses. So this is the wonderful thing about this chapter. It also summary of the summary. And here's the summary of the summary which describes the kind of whole packages, the whole Bhagavad Gita in three shlokas. And it's worth kind of memorizing these three verses. So Bhagavan says two Purushas are there in this world, the perishable and the imperishable. All beings are perishable and the Kutastha is called the imperishable. Now we'll see what that means. But distinct is the Purusha, Supreme Purusha, called the highest self, the indestructible Lord, who pervading the three worlds, waking, dream, and deep sleep, sustains them. This is the Supreme Purusha which sustains everything, including the three worlds. And in the case of the individual, this is the waking, dream, and deep sleep worlds. And what Bhagavan says, I transcend the perishable and I am even higher than the imperishable. I am declared as the Purusottama, the highest Purusha in the world and in the Vedas. In other words, what is he saying? That there are three levels of reality which are being talked about here. Two Purushas. One is the perishable, the imperishable. Now, this refers to the um, you and me as Jivas, all beings which are perishable, and the imperishable part, which is the part and parcel of this Purusha seated in us, as the Ishwara. And beyond the Ishwara is the highest Purusha, which is the highest self, and that is called the Purusottama, the Paramatma, the highest Purusha, which is sustaining everything. Going back to the upside down tree, what is sustaining the tree which is coming down? It is the roots. From the roots is the tree, and that which is sustaining this tree are the roots which are nourishing and allowing this creation to come into existence. And that is nothing but the highest Purusha, the Purusottama. So Bhagavan says then, he who undeluded thus knows me, the Supreme Purusha, he all knowing worships me with his whole being, O Bharata. So once the delusion is gone, that I am this individual subject existing in this objective world, I am this ego identity, I am this person with this identity which is full of pride as well. I am that deluded self. And when I go beyond this delusion and know really that there is this Supreme Purusha, the ultimate reality, the Atma, Brahman, the all knowing, once that delusion is gone, Bhagavan says, all knowing, he worships me with his whole being. So going beyond the delusion is really the primary principle which we have been following. How to go beyond this delusion of I am this body, mind, intellect, I am this ego individuality. How can I go beyond in order to reach the truth? How can I become gunatit? How can I become sthita prajna? And all these are ways of telling us that there is a way, here's the way, how this is to be done, with various different ways of explaining this knowledge to us in a very consistent and coherent manner. And Bhagavan says, this most secret science has been taught by me, O sinless one. On knowing this, a man becomes wise and all his duties are accomplished. Nothing to do now. Everything which needed to be done has been done and nothing more to do now. Which means what? It means that it doesn't mean that once you become realized, you become like a stone. It means that you as a person, as an ego individual, have got nothing to do, because having reached that supreme self, having reached the Supreme Purusha, there is no identification with the body, mind, intellect. I do not now think of myself as this body, mind, intellect who wants this, that, and the other. I and I want, that disappears completely, and therefore nothing to do. Not nothing to do in the sense of tamasic nothing to do, but rising even beyond sattva to say, in all these things, I remain actionless. Remember, we came across that idea in chapter number 3, 4, and this is what Bhagwan is talking about here.